Guys, Tomboy601, and today we are in Neptune, piloted by the all-new Azure lane commander, Neptune. Shout out to Wargaming, they did provide both the skin and the commander for this video, so take everything, I guess I'm about to say, with a grain of salt. So, Azure lane Neptune, the commander. Who is she? What is she? What's her special set of skills? Well, she's sort of a Bruce Fraser clone. She has all of his same traits, stats, but with a couple of exceptions. The first thing, her base trait, of course, is going to be different. She's going to deal extra AP damage per percentage of hit points lost. If you've got her up to 16.4, that is going to be up to 0.1% per percentage of hit points lost, which means if you're down to 1% hit points, you could see yourself up to a 9.9% boost in damage. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I'm not a good math person. There's a reason I went to journalism school. It's so that I can read good and write good. Exactly. I know. Beyond that, she does also have a special skill. That skill is called Goddess of the Sea. Basically, you're going to boost your damage against cruisers and destroyers at the cost of damage to battleships. By an equal percent. You get 4, 5, 6, or 7% based on your upgrade path with her. So you can see how that could be useful. But is it that useful? That's the real question. Well, if you've been paying attention to the game we have here in the background, we're kind of playing it like you would usually play Neptune because it is a big old floating citadel. We found an island, and we're going to happily pick up our little island here. Now, you may notice something a little bit weird about this game. One, there's no destroyers, so we're not going to be benefiting against doing damage to those. And the second thing, half of the enemy ships, or half of the ships on the enemy team, are of a certain persuasion. They're battleships. And guys, I'm just going to say this. It's not like this is unusual, right? I know right now it's a bit weird because we have all of the epic mod grinds going on, so there's a lot of battleships because a lot of them focus on battleships. But when you play in the higher tiers, especially when you get up to the legendary and tier 8, there always seems to be a sort of heavy leaning in the battleships. And as a result, giving up 7%, or in our case right now, 5% damage to battleships, it just doesn't feel like it's the best decision. Anyways, we've popped smoke here, because what else are you going to do in a Neptune? You could be running a radar build, I guess. And we are just going to hammer this Republic. We're checking to make sure we're not going to run into any of those torpedoes. We have our sonar going. We know Miyoko was out there, and he could be causing us a bit of trouble, but thankfully, those torpedoes not quite on target. But we have been slowly and surely chipping away at the Republic there. Now we have Kronstadt in our sights. Good thing it's a cruiser, therefore we're gonna finally get to experience this added damage we receive with HMS Neptune. And as you can see, it's like we're doing good damage. Like there's nothing to shy away from here. We are doing good chunks of damage, but is it worth like the other skills in that slot? We could be getting better dispersion and better grouping, and I would almost argue that may be more beneficial. I think we do have pretty decent grouping and dispersion within the salvos that we are sending downrange, but especially with the British light cruisers, more is always better for them in that sense because of how precise you have to be with these shells, right? You don't tend to have HE because British light cruisers, and as a result, you need to aim for specific parts of the enemy ship, specifically upper belt superstructure, or if it's a destroyer, just anywhere. But like specifically when you're farming the battleships and things, you have to aim at specific points on the ship, or else you're going to bounce, you're going to ricochet, you're going to do no damage, and because you don't have HE, you're not going to be having a chance to cause any fire, so you're not going to be doing any damage over time either. So you need to be able to be precise with these ships, which is why that's the other reason I'm not thinking the trading the damage. The extra damage on 2 of the 3 classes is nice, but I don't think it's 100% worth it. Like I said, even in this game, it's not really helping us too much. Yes, we're definitely going to do some extra damage to this Mogami here, but when half the team is battleships, you know, a half for half trade isn't that great. Now, you could probably say in a regular match it'd be a third, but we've gone over why that logic doesn't really hold. Anyway, we're going to back out here, see if we can help gun down this Pommern as Miyoko was starting to kind of push in towards us. We do have to be cautious of his sonar because he could kind of light us up and detect us for the enemy. I think we are going to try to start picking away on these two battleships out here. Iowa's starting to make his turn here. Of course, we don't want to fire too quickly right here until we get that forward momentum going because, well, we can easily be death struck. We saw earlier that we got hit with maybe 1 or 2 shells, and Neptune was not a huge fan of that change. More torpedoes coming in from Miyoko right there. We will happily stay just behind the lip of this island to ensure we don't eat any of those. Temeraire is now also nice and broadside to us, so as long as we can keep this island between us and those two battleships, they won't be able to spot us, and we will be able to continue chunking them. We're up to like 260 hits. We're doing some decent hits. You know, we're consistently landing the shots, which is good. Neptune, I do have to say, as a ship, is fun in theory. I just think there are different ships. It feels sort of like a tier 8 Plymouth, you know, but one tier up and a bit less maneuverable overall, which is you know, not that great, but you know, it is what it is. As we start to run out of this smoke, we're kind of trying to figure out how we can play it with this Iowa, still trying to remain concealed. He takes a big hit here, so now we're just like, okay, if we can finish him before we start to get spotted. He is looking this direction, but if we can finish him, that would be great. Get ourselves a kill on this board, because as of right now, we're up to 114,000 damage, but no kills. Mogami looking like he's starting to toy with the idea of coming around this corner. Neptune does have those 8 torpedo launchers, so we can go ahead, saturate this area with some torpedoes to see if he wants to come out across this channel. Even if we don't catch him as we are reversing here, we may be able to catch him with some of these torpedoes. Shells are starting to reload here. He's coming dead in on us, so we don't really have the best angle, but he's going to open out, try to dump his torpedoes. That's kind of been his play for the majority of this game, was to try to dump torpedoes down this alley as he absolutely slaps us with a Citadel, and we are finding ourselves back on life support, but he ends up getting finished off, and well, it's time to pop that heal and try to take out either Temeraire or the good old Iowa out there. Good news, we do have a fresh smoke now available to us, so we can use it to sort of back out around the back end of this island, put ourselves in a place to be able to throw more shells down range, get them to land out on those boats, and we should be finding ourselves all in all good. So as we continue to whittle down these two battleships, I guess I'll give kind of final opinions on the Neptune combination. Is Neptune going to take over my British light cruisers? No. I don't think she really brings too much of a benefit. I think I would rather the additional speed that you get from Fraser as a base trait, just because that helps with being able to avoid shells every now and then. And then the special trait that Neptune has, I also don't find myself really wanting to select, just because of the prevalence of how often you run into battleships, how often you have to deal with them. And I'd much rather just do consistent damage across all ships out there on the high seas, as opposed to having to pick and choose which boats I'm going to do more or less damage on. But guys, that is the match. What did you think? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.